clients.
I love it. I love it. Cool. I'm letting him in right now, bro. You are a legend. So good to
Awesome.
meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Let me where are you guys based now? You travel around a bit, right? Or Puerto
Yeah,
Rico is
we're in
home base?
Cabo San Lucas
Cow.
right now, dude. We're just
Nice.
watching whales and surfing. That's kind of our mission in life is
Love
water.
it.
So awesome. Well, guys, I know Susan's in there. We've got this is Tammy. We've got some great people. There will be some people watching
Hey,
the
awesome.
watching the replay. I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna let in some of our clients that we're working with. I'm letting in their note takers, so you will see some AIs in there. But other than that, I'm not letting in a few of them. But guys, this is going to be the deep dive on all things automation. So Tammy, for you, Tammy has an amazing law enforcement podcast. It's actually for health and wellness in the law enforcement agency, which is a really
Oh, nice.
hard niche to crack. She's crushing it. And then there's another one of our amazing clients. Susan is on here. She just launched her show called Done Pretending,
Oh,
which
congrats,
is
Susan.
yes, she's
Thank
got
you.
it. She even just got booked on her first TEDx talk coming up, so that is a huge win.
Nice.
So yeah,
Starting off the year
today
right.
yeah, just coming in swinging. So, guys, today this is our expert panel. I'm excited to invite Jason Kane on. And the thing that's great about Jason, he is an expert in all things automation. So, using ManyChat specifically, we're going to dive in. I'm so excited to learn how you can expand your reach with your podcast specifically using automation. And I think for all of us watching, Jason, we love the idea of shows, and one thing that we teach all of our clients is to create such great content that the
Mhm.
stories and the pieces of their show are so bingeable all the time. So we bring attention to big pains, and then we insert incredible emotional stories to make your job easier when it comes to using automation and things like that. So we're
Love
excited
it.
to see what you do with that and run with it. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, I
turn it
appreciate
over to
you.
you, and you can share the screen or whatever you need to do too.
Perfect. Yeah, let me just get that going. Appreciate you all jumping on and appreciate you inviting me to share this with you and your community. Let me see. Do I have I do have share. All right, cool. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure I had sharing capabilities. We're all good. Can everyone see my screen up here?
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. So, bear with me just on two things. First, started off the year with a stomach flu. I'm hydrating. We're getting back on top of things. I'm feeling good. So, and I'm no designer. So I was trying to get Nano Banana to kind of get away from sci-fi. I do know a thing or two about ManyChat though, so that's what we're going to cover. And the topic is going to be DMs to download. So this is the exact system that I use with some of our clients for their podcasts to turn their borrowed attention on Instagram into loyal listeners on their podcast shows. So let's get into it here. Awesome. So this is what we're going to cover. We're going to cover essentially how to turn your new Instagram followers into listeners. We're going to cover how to essentially get more downloads from social media while you're also growing your email list at the same time. And then I have a couple templates for you that you'll be able to plug right into your own automation if you're using ManyChat already. I do want to get a quick pulse just to see, who's using ManyChat. And then we'll dive in, and I can kind of tailor it to your expertise and your familiarity with ManyChat. And this is kind of the results that you can expect when you start setting up this system. So we're going to dive into this right here. You can see as soon as they started, using individual episodes with their Instagram accounts, having that trigger set up, getting people to comment, getting people to engage, it drove a lot more attention to their podcast just through DM automation and the content that they were already creating and already producing. So first, why me? You may recognize some of these faces up here. We got Jenna Kutcher, Amy Porterfield. I've been doing ManyChat specifically since 2018. And these are just a few of the people that I've gotten to work with, ManyChat itself as well. I've really been privileged to get to work with some great clients, large audiences, and some significant podcasts among them as well. So just you could drop a yes or show of hands. I can see most of you. how many of you are familiar with ManyChat right now? How many of you are using DM automation? Or I see Susan shaking her head. Anyone else? Let me try to get everyone. No, okay, all right. Um, Have you seen any DM automations? Maybe on Instagram as you're going through. Sammy, I see you saying yes. I'll cover a little bit. If at any point you have questions, I would say just drop them down. We're gonna have a Q&A at the end. Happy to answer, any questions that you might have. But basically, creators today are using DM automation like this. You comment on a post, a reel or a post, or you send a DM to the account. You get a message that says, ready to start your journey. Do you looking for a specific resource? Tap the button below. Someone taps the button and they deliver a link. And not to pick on Sahil Bloom here, he is, an excellent creator, but this is how he's currently using it. Not one of our clients, just someone that is using it with a link delivery system in place. And when you send them to the landing page, there's when creators use DMs to send people to that landing page, they're going to miss out on 30 to 50% of potential emails. They're never going to get captured, and it's not because these people aren't interested. It's because as you create friction, every new step that you create, that you make them jump through, every hoop that you make them jump through, you're going to see a significant percentage of drop off there. Plus, once you send them off to the landing page, there's really no follow up to encourage them to take the next step. And some people think follow up is spammy. If I'm getting hit up in the DMs, that's spammy. I don't want to do that to my audience. People's attention spans these days are so short. They actually appreciate getting that little nudge, that bump, because they already opted in for something before. They've already commented. They've already raised their hand for a resource. And so sending them off to a landing page, it's a bit cold. It's not the best experience. So in terms of what's possible, when you keep everything in the DMs. So instead of sending them off to the landing page, keep everything in the DMs. You can actually control the path from that initial interest, that initial intent, to the end result, the action that you want them to take, giving them, giving you your their email, listening to your podcast episodes, etc., downloading, subscribing. And when you keep everything within the DMs, Meta likes this. They don't want you going off on third-party, sites or platforms anyways. Users like this as well. It's just less effort to keep chatting with you and not have to fill in their info again on an external landing page. So there's overall less friction when you just keep everything within the DMs. And that's what I'm going to show you here, how you can do that. And these are just some of the things that you can see when you do keep everything within the DMs. So 2 to 3x, more emails captured from the same engagement, more listeners per episode without posting more content. You're going to have clear visibility into which episodes actually drive action. And then a system that compounds over time. You don't have to essentially restart with your audience every single time you have a new podcast episode or new content to post on Instagram. So with our clients, we typically see an email capture rate of 70 to 90% when it's handled within the DMs versus 30 to 40% if it's sent off to a landing page. Over our last 16 campaigns, 92%. So we're pretty stoked with that in terms of email capture, within the DMs. And just an example here, going from 57% if you send off to a landing page versus capturing the email within the DMs and just having it be a conversation back and forth. So this is all the same content. You don't have to change what you're doing on the content side. It's with your same audience, but it's going to produce better outcomes. So the point is you will be trying to improve your content. You will be trying to improve, your audience quality, but it's not required to experience the lift that I'm going to be talking about here. So this is what it looks like in practice. And I know you mentioned some people are familiar a little bit with ManyChat, some people not so much, or DM automation on Instagram. So this will give a little bit more of what that user experience looks like, just to lay the foundation for you. So the first thing, and what I just went over, is basically just delivering links in the DMs. This is going to be to swap link delivery for a full funnel where you can capture emails within the DMs. So instead of sending them off, just delivering a link in the DMs and that being the end of it, we're going to actually have the conversation in the DMs. So again, this is back to basic link delivery. This is what it looks like. And this is a breakdown of, just an example of what it looks like. The first message, someone comments on a reel or post, they get a first message, tap send me the link, and then they get the link to the guide. That's it. The experience ends right there. Okay, so we're going to walk through some very quick math. That's why this is important for all of you with your businesses. Just bear with me. We're going to go through this. 1,000 comments at the top of the funnel. So let's say your real post, and again, the numbers don't matter so much. It's just the concept at the end of it. If you're not getting 1,000 comments, no worries. I'll actually explain a little bit about accounts of different sizes, so no worries about that. But we're going to use what we see as a baseline typically, baseline conversion rates. When people come to us, this is what we're seeing for conversion rates, plus some easy numbers to work with the math. So 1,000 comments at the top. We'll just assume $10 in email, again, for easy math. But the concept of the lift is the same. And whenever, we would look at doing this for someone, we want to use their actual real numbers that they're seeing inside their account. So 70% are going to click that first button, and 700 are going to get the link. 60% of those are actually going to click and go to the landing page. And 30% conversion rate, give or take, on the landing page. 126 emails times the $10 that we're just using for the estimation, $1,260. So that's what's happening to your email list if you're just sending off to a landing page. Essentially, you're losing that lead, they're going off, and you're capturing far fewer emails just with basic link delivery in DM automation. Versus if you use a full DM funnel, capturing emails in the DMs, this is what it can look like on the back end. And this is what the experience looks like when you're actually having a conversation with someone with one of the accounts that has like a full funnel setup like this. Just give you a second to take a look. Someone comments again on a regular post, and instead of sending them off to a landing page, we're just going to capture their email, capture their information directly in the conversation.
Hey, Jason,
Yeah.
can you go back to that really sexy mind map again? I just wanted to see that because that is crazy. What? Oh my God. That's
This,
so cool.
yeah, so this is this user experience here that I'm going to walk you through. This is basically what's powering it on the back end. And I'll be honest, Sammy, too, maybe my incorrect assumption in terms of like familiarity with ManyChat, I'm more than happy when we jump on the Q&A. I'm more than happy to go back and forth and kind of dig in a little bit more and just explain, what DM automation is, if that's helpful to anyone, and just really get into the foundational pieces. I know I may be moving a little fast with the math and everything, but yeah,
I
let me know
think
if you.
Yeah, I think that's like obviously that looks super complicated to us, and I know one of the things that we love is it actually is a lot simpler. I just wanted us to like acknowledge like if we look at this, we're like that looks crazy, but I remember setting one of these up. It's actually not as complicated as
No,
people think. So yeah, that's
no,
cool.
yeah,
Okay,
no.
cool. Mhm. Yeah, we'll hit that up. But yeah, keep rocking. This is awesome.
Awesome, cool. So same 1,000 comments coming into the top of the funnel, same 70% click-through rates. And this time, instead of, if you go back here and take a look, instead of sending them off to the landing page where you have a 30% conversion rate, we are just sending them directly to the email capture step where we're going to capture 80%. As I mentioned, we're seeing around 92%, but 80% just for the math. And so it's a 4.5x with no change to your content frequency. We're just lifting the email conversion rates by building everything into the DMs. And like Sammy said, it doesn't have to be overly complex. That was a screenshot of typically the way that we're building out for our clients, but the concept is the same. You're just doing it within the DMs instead of sending off to a landing page. The second way is more money, more downloads by knowing what's working. So with most setups, the way that they have the reporting set up, it's going to be a little bit inaccurate. Essentially, you're not going to be able to see everything clearly. You're going to be flying blind. You're not going to be able to track revenue. You're not going to be able to understand what is the content that is actually sending uh, people to your podcast, to your downloads, and no metrics essentially to understand what's working. Instead of just checking the ManyChat box, we usually are reporting on new emails to someone's CRM instead of just all emails captured within ManyChat. We're going to want to make sure that we're attributing sales and revenue directly back to ManyChat leads and specific funnels using an attribution window instead of just all time. And we're also able to give these insights to the content team so that they can understand what's working well. If they're taking, clips, teaser reels, clips from your podcast shows, your episodes, etc., they can understand which ones are actually resonating with people to drive more traffic to the podcast or to capture emails in the DMs. This is just another super complex. It doesn't have to be that complex, as Sammy has already mentioned, but this is just some tracking that we had set up for our client. And this is essentially going to allow you to have a KPI or a CRO checklist. When you have clarity on your numbers, you're going to be able to actually overcome bottlenecks in the business versus just setting DM automation live and hoping that it's working. You're going to be able to run through where you're experiencing, underperformance and optimize each piece of the funnel with the rest of the members of your team. I'll go super quickly through this one here, but data-driven split testing. Within ManyChat, within DM automation, you can actually create multiple paths, see which one performs best, and then send all traffic to that path. You can do that directly within the conversations. So this is continuous optimization of DM funnels using actual performance data. When people are commenting on your reels, they're messaging your Instagram account. You can actually see which path is performing best, and then direct the rest of the traffic down to the winner. And we're typically looking to split test key elements like the first message, the email capture step, any follow-up messages, delivery CTA, or visuals that you have going on in the DMs. And we have, this is a system that we use to create just so you can track all of the the split tests that you're running. Happy to pause here for a second if that's helpful for anyone, but there's certain things that we're looking at, certain, the message type, the campaign type, the date it started, date we want to check, and then obviously we want to select a winner and work that into our best practices going forward. And this is an example of a split test that you can run in ManyChat. It's like very simple. You just use the randomizer there, send 50-50, and then when you have a winner, you redirect all the traffic to the winning path. So that's going to lead to month-over-month lifts in email capture and podcast traffic. You're going to be sending people down the more optimized path, more revenue generated from the same Instagram engagement, and then data-driven decisions for your business. You want to let performance data, not opinion, determine winners, of course, and then even small increments compound quickly at scale. So even a 5 to 10% increase, that can result in hundreds of new emails, new downloads as well for your podcast. So it is a missed opportunity to not be split testing within your funnels, and just making sure that you're essentially always testing, making sure that you've got the best path possible for your audience. And Sammy, do you want me to wait to Q&A at the end, or do you want me to pause and stop? I'm happy to answer anything that comes up as we're going through, if that's better
I'm
for
loving it. Just keep moving. I think there's so many cool things to go. I like the stream of where you're at and just kind of moving through it so we can do some of the stuff at the end too. Unless you
Cool.
guys have questions, drop them in the chat too. And I know that this is a nice tight group, so if anything hits you, you're like, whoa, what is that? I know that we have people at different stages in their shows and different stages with their audiences, so a lot of this is great to see. I think the biggest thing we're pulling there, Jason, is that people are absolutely missing the boat on some of the stuff. Even I was just looking at some of the things we're doing. We're like, whoa, we're sending them straight to school. There's a lot of friction points there when we can actually just directly message people and really get them into our ecosystem that way. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that here at the end too.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Awesome. So let's get into the DMs to downloads system. Now we're going to shift. That's all foundational stuff. We're going to shift now into the 3 components. So we have first the backend podcast invite, second episode delivery funnel, and then the new follower funnel to get more of your new followers right over to your podcast. So we'll cover this one first. And this is what it can look like. Now, if you're already using DM automation, let's say even if you're using it in the just to, like I showed before, the basic link delivery, if you add this to the back end, it's just a simple delay. I'll walk through this super quickly from left to right in the red. Smart delay, 3 minutes after any previous funnel. We're just going to check to see, did we already invite them to the podcast? If no, we're going to add this tag and invite them. If yes, we don't do anything. We've already invited, they know it exists, right? We can invite them to the podcast on the back end here. And that's just going to be a constant stream of new people that have not been invited that are coming from Instagram. They've already raised their hand for a different resource, and they're now going to be invited essentially to go deeper with you on your long form content, which I know you're using as your trust engine, your authority engine with Ray and Sammy. So that's one area where anything else that whenever any other entry points, it's a great place to stick this on the back end of those funnels. You could send them directly to the podcast here, or what we've seen work really well is invite them to an Instagram broadcast channel. And I know there are communities now, like school, like this one here that you're all within now. But in terms of having a place where you can have a two-way discussion around your episodes, and I'll show you, what that looks like here. You can share your direct episode link, like this one that you see here. You can tease upcoming episodes to warm people up. You can have two-way discussions around those podcast episodes, which, I mean, there are platforms that try to do that, that try to balance the social aspect and the podcasting aspect. But these are people that are already natively on Instagram. Meta optimizes for DMs for conversations. This is where things are getting shared amongst friends. This is like the fireside chat, essentially is what ManyChat always wanted to build. And so it's a good way to control the distribution of your podcast, because if you have 80% joining, this is what we've seen on the back end, agreeing to join that channel, 80% are joining. This is just an example here of when we had started, and you see 1.4K members, 991% of them or 991 are seeing your messages when you have a new episode. You're really able to control that, prime people for the podcast that's coming, and then share that with them. You can also, if you're creating content already with teaser reels, like clipping out from your episodes, you can drop that post or reel with that short form teaser clip right in the broadcast channel for Instagram. And you'll be able to use that to drive more traffic to the second piece of the system that I'm going to show you, to get them into your funnels, capture their email, drive the more listeners to that podcast episode when it's live. And it's just a great tight discussion forum essentially for your podcast episodes. So that's the backend podcast invite. You're essentially going to invite to your podcast or to a broadcast channel where you can then drop in your podcast episodes on the back end of any funnels that you're running inside ManyChat.
That's so cool. And then, so can you explain just a touch more? So the broadcast channel,
Mhm.
is that a separate um channel direct just dedicated to the podcast itself?
It can be. It can
Okay.
be yeah, it really depends for your brand how you want to use it. But if you do create it separately or per topic, especially if you tend to be like maybe many of your community members, they have one core topic, their podcast is covering one core topic, or they have a podcast that's like, hey, I cover health, I cover tech, and I cover something else. Most of your listeners, maybe if you look in the data and you see that they like all the topics, you just have one group. But if you see that you kind of have like split listeners or split audience members, you could, provide two spots for them to engage, and you'll probably have, all smaller groups, but much more engaged and yeah, willing to participate, in those channels that are broken out.
Cool. Okay. I'm curious because like with Tammy, for example, she'll do a panel discussion with a bunch of different people from law enforcement across different platforms or
Mhm.
different sections. So I'm interested to see how she could use this kind of automation to grow that audience, in different sections. So interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and when you have the broadcast channel set up and this invitation is added to the back end of your other funnels, you're going to continue to produce lead magnets, produce content, and produce funnels that are just entry points. So it's almost like a Hydra. You're going to have so many different entry points all pointing back to this broadcast channel that is going to continue to grow that community around the podcast, so that your distribution is obviously just going to continue growing without you having to do anything else apart from create the content, put it out there, and invite people on the back end. So it's pretty helpful. The second is the episode delivery funnel. This is the core of what we do for our clients with podcasts. This is like the bread and butter. There are two ways that we do this typically. We either build it out to send to specific episodes with specific keywords, or send to a general podcast link. We've done them both. The one that we find works slightly better, and it's typically the one that most clients want to at least start out with if they have the bandwidth themselves, is to send to the specific episode. And so the pros of doing this, having a unique keyword that's seen as something new to your audience, it helps fight against keyword fatigue. If you're using the same keyword over and over, people might just kind of pass it off as like, oh, it's that same thing that I've seen before. Whereas if you're using the number of the episode, the name of the guest, this is, going to catch their attention, number one, and it's going to say this is something new, especially if you're using the name of the guest, where, it's very recognizable and someone knows they want to go and listen to that person. It's just going to increase the engagement there. And then specific episode delivery is the smoothest UX or user experience that we've seen as well, because they're going to be able to opt in directly and be sent directly to the episode. Even if they opt into a post that was from a previous episode months ago, they find your Instagram account, they're kind of scrolling back. They're still going to be sent to the specific episode versus like a general link that maybe has been updated and doesn't have the episode they were looking for as the most recent episode. And then the specific episode allows for the option of a specific or relevant invitation on the back end. So what I'm going to show you here is delivering the podcast first, and then we're going to capture email on the back end or take some other action depending on your account. Slightly more technical, does require management, not that difficult. Just like Sammy said, it's not that difficult to get going. And we've got a template for you as well, just to help with that too. So here's what that looks like. Typically, you're going to need a show calendar, and you'll want the date, the episode number, the title, the guest if there is one, and then the URL. This is just going to help you stay super organized and be able to grab those specific data points or use them in the DM automation in the funnel itself. If an episode isn't published yet, so you don't have the URL, depending on what platforms you're using, many of our clients, I don't know if this is something, Sammy, that you always teach that they should do, or it's just kind of a case-by-case basis. But some of our clients are creating blog posts around the podcast episode, so the blog URL is ready, and then they have the listening links on that blog post, so they can get out ahead of the episodes and build these funnels out so they're ready.
We have
Uh,
not actually done too much of that. That's a great strategy. I've seen that done with some of Mind Valley's shows,
yep.
and I've seen that work really well. I think with us, a lot of our shows are really grassroots. So
Mm,
especially the new ones that we're starting, we'll do those when, like, say Susan's about to do her TEDx talk, right? She's going to do
yeah.
that TED talk that has its own unique URL. We'll probably do a whole unique kind of, thought process around that URL, so we can see which stuff is really tracking and really getting numbers from
Yep.
that. I think is what you're asking, right? Like would
Yeah.
using
Yeah, in this case, it is for that as well, for tracking, and it's also just for organization. If you have someone on your team or it's yourself even, and you want to make sure that your the ManyChat funnel is ready to go live even before the podcast is ready. The URL, if you don't have a URL for one of the listening or streaming platforms ready yet, typically someone has, for our clients, they've created a blog post, let's say, that has maybe a written version of what's going to be covered in the podcast, and then they've got the listing links there. We can at least get the URL ahead of time and kind of build these out. So you can just batch build. It's just a good way to stay organized. And then, yeah, also for tracking and having it as an additional asset on the blog for search, etc. From that perspective.
got it. Yep. Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. Mhm.
So this is what it would look like. This is an example from Amy Porterfield. Someone's going to comment again on either the reel, the post. It'll work for, DMing the account, of course, as well, or responding to a story. And we're typically using the episode number or the name of the guest. Again, that keeps it unique, keeps it fresh. And a quick note, if you have a guest on for your podcast, especially if they have a larger audience than yours, ask them to do a collab with you on Instagram. Make sure you own the post and your automation will still run. So you're essentially, and that's the purpose, right, of having someone, I guess, on your podcast to kind of share the audiences there. And then also for a collab post on Instagram, you're able to leverage one another's audiences, but you will own the automation if it's built on your account and you're the owner of the post. So you'll benefit from the guests traffic opting into your DM automation funnel. It's a great way to
So
bring in, yeah, great way to bring in new listeners. Awesome.
definitely collab with Mel Robbins too, guys, if you can do that.
And then this is what it looks like. So the very first message, someone comments, for example, pod 41 on the post. Story replies or DMs are also going to work, and this is the first message that they'll see. And we try to keep it as short as possible, conversational. It's always a balance. You'll see in a second as well. I'll mention this, but it's always a balance, keeping best practices and short conversational copy with being on brand as well. So if you do use a brand guide, etc., just keep that in mind. Shorter, we found across the board, shorter works better. Short as we can get without losing the meaning of it, the better. And from there, they confirm that they want the episode. So we always, just in case there's a misfire, we have a few different ways we control it from, if someone typed something in and they didn't want the podcast episode, we have a few different ways that we're able to control that. But we always like to just have a confirmation that they're looking for that specific resource. So we ask them, are you looking for it? Do you want it? They tap send it over. And then we deliver the podcast episode ungated. I'll go into this a little bit more. We've tested in the past trying to sneaky email capture before delivering the podcast. At the end of the day, just give them the podcast. They want the episode. It's out there available anyways. They're trying to get it in an easier way, a conversational way by going through your Instagram, deliver the episode, and then we can invite to a resource on the back end. Can be, ideally hyper specific if you can and related to that podcast topic. Or it can be more general like this, like a newsletter invitation. You're going to decide on that, yourselves. We decide on it with our clients. Again, on the copy, we do typically use shorter copy, but it is a balance between being authentic and on brand for our clients, and then what we know performs best, which is, across the board is going to be as short as possible. But this is an invitation to get people onto the newsletter. So now you've delivered the podcast. You've got a bit of a delay, and then you're going to invite them to the newsletter to go deeper, or invite them to a resource that dives deeper on the topic, or is an actionable next step that they can take that relates to the topic that you're covering on that podcast. And then here is what I showed earlier, where we're going to capture the email right in the DMs. And just a note on capturing name. On your landing pages, typically you want to capture name, email, etc. In the DMs, we can capture the name automatically with AI for about 80 to 85% of people. So to further reduce friction there and get more people through, we can, we don't have to even ask them for their name for about 80 to 85% of people that come through. And we also often train the behavior to go to the inbox and take the next steps. This is going to be something you would decide on based on your email list health, but capturing new emails if they never open another email is not the greatest. So in many cases, especially with a newsletter where there's not a specific resource getting delivered in the DMs, we're just going to make sure that we're training that behavior to go look in your spam, whitelist the email so that they continue to receive your emails going forward. And this is what I had, shared before. That increase in comments and engagement by using specific episode keywords gets people to comment, gets more eyes on the content, gets more listeners to your podcast ultimately in the end, and that's the goal.
Nothing like a 94% increase on something. So great.
And this was a individual episode that saw around 7K. Again, 7K clicks, to the podcast by the time that I was sharing this here. And a quick note, I'll go over it in a second, just around account size, because I know some of these, right, like it may be quite high. I'll go over that in just a second. Some of the other things that you can do depending on account size. And this is typically what we're seeing around 40%. If it's something general that we're offering on the back end, this is typical for what we'll see for a more general invitation to get someone's email after a podcast episode. The more relevant, the more specific, small actionable wins, whenever you can include that and have it tied directly back to the podcast episode, the better, and the more likely that rate will increase for people saying, yep, I want to get whatever that resource is. Now, what if I have a smaller audience? And this might be something that you're thinking about. And it's true, like many of the clients that I'm sharing and many of the clients that we work with, it's volume based, they're email dependent. They physically can't respond to all the DMs, although a lot of them try, and they don't have sales teams. So email is the metric that makes sense. But if you're a smaller account, or if you do have a dedicated sales team, you start conversations. You're in the DMs. Instead of capturing email, what you can do is just have a quick follow-up. Hey, checking in. what do you think of the episode? Start that conversation. You can open it up very easily. The live chat feature in ManyChat is great. Open up that conversation yourself to chat with people. That's a great way to just do essentially like market research, get dive a little bit deeper, with your audience. Or if you have like a DM setter or something in place, that's a great way for them to pick up the conversation and then, qualify. And you can even set that up as well and automate the first couple of questions, the triage questions that you would have if you do have a sales team, and then hand it off to a closer, if that's the structure of your business. So there's always options. The account size doesn't matter so much and the numbers don't matter so much. On the larger side, it's just important to have this set up and be using it. Still very valuable, regardless of account size. All right. So the last one that I want to cover is the new follower funnel. And this is a new feature from relatively new feature from ManyChat. So when someone follows, there's going to be a delay, and it's just like the name says. So it's sent after someone follows your account for the first time. If they won't get it again if they come back typically. And this is going to be the point that they're most interested typically, or most in pain, right? They just found your account, they're excited, they hit the follow button, and it's a great time to offer them something in exchange for their follow that's helpful, that's going to help them take the next step. Now we use a 5 minute delay here. We don't, I don't believe they even allow it anymore where you could just send it right away. It's just too soon. It's so obviously, you're not trying to pretend that you are a human, but sending it immediately was just much too automatic. It didn't make sense. It wasn't very human. And this angle right here, I mean, you can steal this angle right here. It's consistently outperformed other angles that we've tested. We've allowed people to self-select, to try to segment people, thinking, they're not really expecting this message. Let's give them some options. This right here, or some site variation of this, has performed best in terms of getting people to say yes, send it over. And the way that works is very similar to what I was sharing before. We're going to present the lead magnet in a quick format, capture the email. Now, what you can do, what I would imagine, Sammy, for your group, this might be something specific to them, to aim for both new emails and new downloads, is instead of having like a physical, like a PDF lead magnet, one thing that can work well is having an exclusive playlist. So it's hyper relevant to your audience. It's relevant to maybe this season, current events. It feels fresh, exclusive, secret. And it gets them into that long form content, and you only share it with new followers. That's one of the keys to the angle. You only show this playlist. You wouldn't do this, like I said, we've tested in the past, sending to the general playlist and trying to capture email beforehand. It's not really worth the exchange because they could just go to Spotify, go to Apple, and get the access to the playlist. But for this, it's worth an email. It's worth that exchange. And so you could use that as your lead magnet and test that. And we're, again, all about the data. So that would be something I would suggest that you should test. And again, these are people that, we're aiming for around 30% here. These are people that are coming in and they're not really expecting a message from you. But you can kind of see what's possible with this. And this is immediately moving new followers over to the podcast, moving new followers over to your email list right as they come into your account. So just a great way to get more listeners. And like I said, while this is a lower CTR than our usual funnels, the email capture rate is still higher than the average landing page. And you're capturing more new emails because these are people that are not existing in your system typically. They're new followers. They just started. You typically don't have them in your CRM. So this is a great way right off the bat to change that relationship quickly from, hey, I'm a new follower, to I'm a subscriber, to I'm a customer of your brand. So like I mentioned, yeah, email capture rate is still higher than the average LP. Percentage of new emails to the CRM is higher, and we've seen around 82.5% of the emails that we capture are new emails at that point. So that's out of the total emails we're capturing at that step, the majority of them are going to be new people to your CRM. All right, and many people, this may also, one of the questions I get is, is this spammy? You've got to test it. You've got to know your audience. We're always all about testing. If you're getting a ton of negative feedback, check the live chat. We check the live chat, for our clients. We encourage them to let us know if they flag anything that, if they see it coming in where it's consistent negative feedback about it. But otherwise, many people are pleasantly surprised by it, right? You're getting an outreach from a brand that you just decided to follow, and you're getting something in exchange that's going to help you, go deeper with them. We have not seen it, by the way, impact on follower rates or like unfollow rates, increase unfollows. It has not impacted that in a significant way at all. All right, one last thing here, just a couple of things to test in 2026. So one thing you can test again, this I'm going to defer to Sammy and Ray on this because you're just going to want to test and see what you're seeing on the podcast side. But when you're delivering the link, you can test message to copy and paste your desired keyword followed by the link to search by that keyword. So instead of sending someone to a specific episode, if it helps Spotify's algorithm, for example, or your ranking, your podcast ranking, et cetera, to have someone actually type in a specific keyword, type in the name of your podcast, whatever the case is. If you find that to be true, you can test delivering whatever that keyword is in a message that they can copy, followed by the link, and it'll take them to search in Spotify instead of going, hey, let me do all the lifting for you. And again, the reason why you have to test this is delivering the specific link, that's just lowest friction. They're going directly to the thing they asked for, and they're gonna listen to the episode. But if you find that on the podcast side, which if you're optimizing for listeners, optimizing for downloads, that's what you're trying to gain here. You can ask them to go to your podcast and type in a specific keyword for the podcast or the episode or the playlist. And then you can use an exclusive gated playlist that's separate from the main podcast in a lead magnet funnel to capture emails. So this is similar to what I mentioned here, using it as a lead magnet for the new follower funnel. This would actually be running it as a lead magnet itself, standalone lead magnet that people can opt in for, and gating that exclusive playlist. And again, our lead magnet funnels, that is our bread and butter. We've seen them perform around a 92% email capture rate. So if you're gating this podcast, you're essentially killing two birds with one stone. You're getting new emails and you're getting people to start listening to go over and take that action and getting more downloads as well. So as I mentioned, we do have two templates for you. We've got the podcast episode delivery ManyChat template, as well as the new follower funnel ManyChat template that you can set up. I dropped the slides, so you'll get the slides either, I think, from Sammy or from Ray. And I'm happy to, answer any questions at all that come up as you start trying to implement those. I'm in the community, just hit me up. And yeah, any other questions that we have right now, happy to answer.
So good. And then did you have a link to that stuff for the gifts, or do you want us to just have them email you?
They'll get these are linked right here. So they'll get the slides. They can click right through there. Happy
Oh,
to, you want me
amazing.
to,
Okay.
yeah, I can drop them in the chat too.
Yeah, drop them in the chat for us. That'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And Ray, did you have a question? I feel like you're good. Okay.
No, this is so cool though. I mean, I think there's just so many different ways to do this and just seeing all the work that you put into testing everything. I mean, that was just mind blowing because I think whenever I've talked to people about ManyChat, it's just been so basic. And so to see what you've been able to do at scale, it's pretty incredible and definitely like gets all the wheels turning.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just
And I
drop
think there was a
those
couple
links.
questions too, Jason. One of the questions that Susan asked me before, we were just having we were sidebarring a little bit
Yeah.
with setting up ManyChat. That is a meta feature, correct?
ManyChat is a Meta partner. It is
Okay.
totally approved. It is not a Meta product, but they have been around since the API opened. So essentially, since Meta allowed this to happen, ManyChat has been there, doing this. So totally safe. Nothing to worry about. If yeah, if that's one of your concerns, nothing to worry about with that.
Cool. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was actually in time internal with that, but okay. So
Yeah.
you would use ManyChat next to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think the automation side, guys, is absolutely one of those needle movers that you have to implement to really scale and to get to people without you having to do all the hand holding. So it's such a great thing. Jason, that was amazing. Thank you so much for dropping the knowledge bomb on us right now with all the chats. I did say too with podcasting moving over to, there's a lot of consumption of podcasting on YouTube right now. And
Yeah.
so is there anything that we need to worry about when we're like linking YouTube stuff inside ManyChat, or you didn't see, have you seen anything drop off when using automations that lead to YouTube? Or are we cool?
No, we haven't actually. We've done this for YouTube as well. It's a more or less the same, system, the same process, but just you're going to swap instead of sending to Spotify or to Apple, you're going to send to the YouTube video itself. So we haven't. We'll be on the lookout. As you noticed, I know I kind of went through some numbers, some data through the training, but yeah, we would be on the lookout for that just in case, and we'll let you know. But no issues so far.
Amazing. And yeah, if you guys want to engage with Jason, did you drop your email in there too, Jason? We want to make sure if people are looking to have something automated and set up and want to have you guys do it, you guys can come in and do that for them as well too.
Well,
Yeah,
I-
just
I had a quick question. One, I would like to do a consultation meeting with you, and then can we just hire you to do all that? Because I'm like,
yeah, you can. Yeah, that is how we help people. We just do done for you. We'll take it over. You don't have to think about it. You just focus on the content on the Instagram side, content on the podcast side, and we'll manage all the DM automation stuff.
That's where I'm at. Good
Awesome.
job. That was a lot though, but yeah.
Sorry if it was a bit of a fire hose. I will say my background is more on the technical and on the number side. So I'm always happy to walk people through. I filmed tons of looms. Happy to do as many as it takes. If there are any questions beyond this call here.
Totally. I think what might be helpful, and Jason will pop in here too, like both Ray and my podcast and Susan's, it's interesting. We know that it's not so much having hundreds and thousands of listeners that really make the big difference, is having quality, real quality listeners. So when you have those that come in, even if you have 20 or 30, 50 qualified listeners, which is what we really target, and you're able to connect with them instantaneously with ManyChat and getting those, that's when you can convert them right away. It's such a fast thing. So Susan, as you're getting rolling, and Tam, as you guys are getting rolling, I just want you guys to remember it used to be like, hey, let's get these thousands of numbers to get into Apple and then the top ranked things, but the game's really changed right now with just getting quality listeners, which is
Well,
amazing.
our episode that we just did launched out yesterday. It's all about reframing resolutions for success. And one of the things is in the industry that I'm in, yes, I want a big following, but I don't need or want millions of people. I need the right people. Because my thing with what we're doing, we're so specific. And in this climate, I don't need millions, because then what I'm doing is just I have a whole bunch of anti-police rhetoric and crap on my site. I'd rather be connected with a small audience of the right audience than a large shit show. So
Yeah,
So true.
That's a great
So
point.
true.
I've never done this, but we're always open to testing, like I said. So, I mean, you could always test having even just one qualification question. And I know we talked a lot about friction today. There is such thing as good friction as well, right? And if you have even just one question that the right people, the right listeners would answer, affirmatively to continue on that path to get the episode or to listen or to go deeper with you in whatever way in the conversation in the DMs, you can ask it, because one, like you said, you're going to kind of separate the people that are not qualified, the people you don't really want to be speaking with. And it can act as a micro commitment. Someone that has had to pass even just a single question to either get something or to affirm that they are this kind of person that listens to this kind of podcast. It's worth a test, at least, if that's what you're seeing. And again, always let the data to help you decide.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, one more time, round of applause for Jason. Thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it.
And yeah, we'll have this in the archives with the videos and we'll check that out. But Jason, that was awesome, man. That's so cool. Thank you for dropping your knowledge on that. I think Ray and I are both like sidebarring. I was like, this is so cool. I love automation. But that's awesome.
Yeah, any questions, shoot me an email or shoot me a message in the school group as well. Happy to chat about what you'd like to get built out, guys.
Awesome. Much love.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
This
guys.
has been an amazing expert panel with Evolve Podcasting. Thanks, guys. Have a great afternoon.
See you guys.